First Contact Part 1, The Unexpected Arrival. The enormous space station called Harmony's Edge floated peacefully in the void between stars. Inside its gleaming halls, aliens from 47 different worlds sat around a massive circular table. Some had blue skin and tentacles. Others looked like giant insects with crystal wings. A few resembled walking trees with glowing eyes. They were all part of something called the Galactic Council. Today was just another boring meeting day. The representatives talked about trade deals and who could mine which asteroids. Admiral HFY, a tall purple alien with 4 arms, sat in his command chair feeling sleepy. The Zephyrian delegate had been talking about tax rates for the past 2 hours. His voice sounded like a broken motor that would not stop running. The import fees on quantum crystals should increase by 0.003%. The Zephyrian droned on. His fish-like face never changed expression as he spoke. Admiral HFY was about to fall asleep when every alarm in the space station started screaming at once. Red lights flashed everywhere. The smooth hum of the station's engines changed to worried beeping sounds. "Admiral," shouted Lieutenant Vex Nala from her control station. Her green tentacles moved quickly over her screens. "Something huge just appeared at the edge of our solar system." The Admiral jumped up from his chair. "How huge?" "Sir, it's bigger than anything we've ever seen. Our computers can't even measure it properly." On the main viewing screen, a dark shape appeared among the stars. At first, it looked like a small dot, but as the camera zoomed in, everyone in the room gasped. The thing was not small at all. It was the largest spacecraft anyone had ever built. The ship stretched across space like a metal mountain. Its dark hull absorbed light instead of reflecting it. Strange towers and structures covered its surface. Weapon ports lined its sides like the eyes of some giant space monster. The thing was so big it made their space station look like a toy boat next to an ocean liner. "By the 7 moons of Zephyr," whispered the fish-faced delegate. "What is that thing?" Admiral HFY had fought in 3 galactic wars. He had seen the massive battle cruisers of the Krithak Empire. He had watched super dreadnoughts destroy entire moons, but this ship made all of them look like children's toys. "Run a full scan," he ordered. "I want to know everything about that vessel." Lieutenant Vex Nala's tentacles danced over her controls. After a few minutes, she looked up with confusion in her large black eyes. "Sir, our scanners can barely penetrate its hull. The metal seems to absorb our sensor beams. But what we can see—" She paused and checked her readings again. "Sir, this ship has corridors big enough to fly our fighters through. The power readings are off our charts. And the weapons—" "What about the weapons?" "Sir, I count over 10,000 weapon emplacements. Some of them are bigger than our entire defense platforms." The room fell silent. Representatives from 47 different species stared at the screen in shock. No one had ever built a ship like this. No one had ever imagined a ship like this was possible. "Where did it come from?" asked Admiral HFY. "Unknown, sir. It just appeared out of faster-than-light travel. No warning, no advanced scouts, nothing." Suddenly, the communication console started beeping. Lieutenant Vex Nala put her hand to her ear device. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the unknown vessel. Put it on speakers." A clear voice filled the command center. It spoke in perfect galactic standard, though with a strange accent no one recognized. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Terran vessel Indomitable Will. We come seeking peaceful contact with the Galactic Council." Admiral HFY blinked his 4 eyes. "Terran? I've never heard of that species." The voice continued. "We represent the human race from the planet Earth. We request permission to establish diplomatic contact with your organization." Lieutenant Vex Nala quickly searched the galactic databases. After a few moments, she shook her head. "Sir, there's no record of humans or Earth in any of our files. This is a completely unknown species." The Admiral stared at the massive ship on his screen. An unknown species had built the most powerful warship in galactic history and just casually flew up to their front door. They said they wanted peace, but the ship could probably destroy their entire fleet without even trying hard. "Sir," called another officer from across the room, "our patrol ships are reporting some very strange readings from the alien vessel." "What kind of readings?" "Power signatures unlike anything we've seen. The ship appears to have multiple fusion reactors, each one bigger than the main power plant on Harmony's Edge. There are also some kind of exotic matter containment, fields that our scientists don't understand." "Admiral." HFY felt a chill run down his spine. Exotic matter was theoretical technology that most species couldn't even imagine building. If these humans had mastered it, they were centuries ahead of anyone in the galaxy. Any response from the alien ship to our patrol vessels? No, sir, they're just sitting there waiting. No aggressive moves, no weapon locks, nothing threatening. They seem to actually want to talk. The Admiral looked around the room at all the frightened alien faces staring back at him. The Council was supposed to be the most powerful organization in the galaxy. They had fleets that could conquer star systems. They had technology that could move mountains. But this single human ship made all of their power look like nothing. Should we respond to their message, sir? Asked Lieutenant Vexnala. Admiral Kexhai thought carefully. If these humans wanted to destroy them, they probably already would have done it. The smart thing was to find out what they wanted. Open a channel, he said. The communication system crackled to life. This is Admiral Kexhai of the Galactic Council. We welcome you to our space, Captain Chen. We are interested in establishing contact with your people. Thank you, Admiral. We're very excited to meet other intelligent species. Our scientists have been dreaming of this day for centuries. The human voice sounded friendly and calm, but Admiral Kexhai could not forget the massive weapons pointed in his direction. Captain Chen, would you be willing to come aboard our station for formal diplomatic discussions? We would be honored. I'll prepare a small diplomatic team. We should be able to dock within a few hours. The transmission ended. Admiral Kexhai sat back in his chair and tried to think. These humans claimed to want peace, but they had arrived in a ship that could probably conquer half the galaxy. Were they really peaceful explorers, or were they the most dangerous enemy the Council had ever faced? Around him, representatives from 47 species whispered nervously to each other. Everyone was thinking the same thing. Today, everything had changed. The galaxy had new players, and no one knew what game they were playing. Sir, said Lieutenant Vexnala quietly, what do we do if they're not as friendly as they sound? Admiral Kexhai looked at the massive ship on his screen and realized the truth. If these humans were lying about their peaceful intentions, there was absolutely nothing the Galactic Council could do to stop them. Pray that they really do come in peace, he whispered back. First Contact Part 2. First Impressions and Growing Unease, Captain. Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the Indomitable Will and watched the alien space station grow larger on her main screen. After 30 years of dreaming about this moment, she was finally about to meet other intelligent life forms. Helm, take us in nice and slow, she ordered. Let's not make them any more nervous than they already are. The massive human ship moved through space like a gentle giant. But even moving slowly, its size made the alien station look tiny. The Harmony's Edge was supposed to be one of the largest structures in the galaxy. Next to the Indomitable Will, it looked like a marble sitting next to a football. Captain, said Commander Torres from his station, I'm reading over 50 alien warships moving to escort positions around us. Sarah nodded. Can't blame them for being careful. If I saw a ship this size appear in Earth's solar system, I'd want an escort too. The alien ships were beautiful in their own way. Some looked like crystal butterflies with weapon pods hanging beneath them. Others resembled metal sharks with glowing fins. A few were just big cubes covered in antenna arrays. They formed a protective circle around the human vessel, though everyone knew it was mostly for show. Ma'am, called Lieutenant Park from communications, the aliens are requesting that we dock using their standard diplomatic protocols. Sarah smiled. Tell them we'd be happy to. Extend docking tube 7 and prepare the diplomatic shuttle. 20 minutes later, a small human shuttle separated from the Indomitable Will. The aliens watching were amazed at how tiny it looked compared to the main ship. What they couldn't see was that the shuttle contained technology more advanced than anything in their fleets. The shuttle docked with Harmony's Edge without any problems. Captain Chen stepped out first, followed by her diplomatic team. She was a woman in her 40s with short brown hair and kind eyes. She wore a simple blue uniform with no fancy decorations. Behind her came Dr. Amanda Wells, the team's scientist, and Commander Jackson, their military advisor. Admiral Kexhai was waiting to greet them. He had brought representatives from a dozen different species to show the humans how diverse the galaxy was. When he saw the humans for the first time, he was surprised at how normal they looked. Welcome to Harmony's Edge, Captain Chen, the Admiral said through his translation device. I am Admiral Kexhai of the Galactic Council. Sarah smiled and extended her hand. The Admiral looked confused for a moment, then carefully reached out with one of his 4 hands to shake hers. It's an honor to meet you, Admiral. We've been looking forward to this day for a very long time. The welcoming ceremony was held in the station's main diplomatic hall. Hundreds of aliens filled the seats to get their first look at humans. Sarah and her team were led to a place of honor at the front of the room. Captain Chen, Admiral HFY began formally. Would you please tell us about your people and your intentions in our space? Sarah stood up and looked around the room at all the different alien faces watching her. Thank you for welcoming us so warmly. My name is Sarah Chen, and I represent the human race from the planet Earth. We are explorers and scientists who have spent decades studying your civilization from far away. Worried whispers filled the room. If the humans had been watching them for decades, how much did they know? Sarah continued. We finally developed faster-than-light travel and decided it was time to introduce ourselves properly. We come in peace and friendship, hoping to learn from all of your amazing cultures. Dr. Wells stepped forward carrying a small case. As a gesture of goodwill, we've brought some gifts from Earth. She opened the case and pulled out several small devices. To the humans, they were simple tools. To the aliens watching, they were technological miracles. This is a universal translator that can learn any language in just a few hours, Dr. Wells explained. This device can scan and heal most injuries instantly, and this small computer contains all of Earth's music, art, and literature. The alien scientists in the audience nearly fell out of their seats. The translator alone would revolutionize galactic communication. The medical scanner was centuries beyond their current technology, and the computer was storing more information than some of their largest databases. These are just small tokens of friendship, Sarah said casually. We hope they show our desire for peaceful cooperation. After the ceremony, the aliens gave the humans a tour of the station. Sarah and her team seemed genuinely excited to learn about alien technology and culture. They asked polite questions about everything they saw and took pictures of alien art and architecture. But behind the scenes, panic was spreading through the station's command staff. Sir, Lieutenant Vexnala reported to Admiral HFY in private. Our scientists have finished analyzing the human shuttle. What did they find? Sir, that shuttle could destroy most of our warships single-handedly. Its hull is made of materials we can't identify. Its power source is beyond our understanding, and its computer systems are so advanced that our best hackers can't even figure out how to turn them on. Admiral HFY felt his stomach drop. Are you saying their small diplomatic transport is more powerful than our battle cruisers? Yes, sir. And they treated it like it was completely expendable. They parked it in our docking bay like it was just a taxi. Reports kept coming in from all over the station. The humans' clothing was made of fabrics that could stop energy weapons. Their personal devices contained more computing power than the station's main computers. Even their food containers used advanced preservation technology. Admiral, called another officer, the human medical scanner they gave us as a gift? Our doctors say it's more advanced than our best hospital equipment. It can diagnose diseases we've never even heard of and suggest treatments we couldn't imagine. The Admiral sat down heavily in his chair. If this was what the humans considered simple gifts, what kind of technology did their main ship contain? Captain Chen and her team continued their tour, completely unaware of the fear they were causing. They admired alien architecture and tasted exotic foods. They exchanged stories about their home planets and shared pictures of Earth's cities and oceans. But every casual comment they made only increased the aliens' worry. This station is really impressive, Sarah told Admiral HFY as they walked through the central plaza. It reminds me of the orbital platforms we built around Mars, though of course ours are quite a bit larger. The Admiral tried to hide his shock. The humans had built multiple space stations larger than Harmony's Edge, just around one of their planets. Your ship is quite large as well, the Admiral said carefully. Sarah laughed. The indomitable Will? She's actually on the smaller side for an exploration vessel. We built her specifically for long-range missions where we might need to be self-sufficient for years at a time. The Admiral's 4 hearts nearly stopped beating. This reality-destroying supership was one of their smaller vessels. As the day continued, more and more terrifying details emerged. The humans mentioned that they had a few other ships back home. They talked about their basic defensive systems and their standard exploration equipment, everything. They said suggested that Earth possessed technology so far beyond the galaxy's current level that comparison was meaningless by evening. Representatives from 47 species were holding emergency meetings in private rooms throughout the station. The same question was being asked in dozens of different languages. What did the humans really want? And what would happen if they decided they wanted something the galaxy wasn't willing to give? Captain Chen went to sleep that night thinking the first day of contact had gone perfectly. The alien seemed friendly and curious about human culture. She was looking forward to many more days of peaceful exchange. She had no idea that she had just accidentally terrified an entire galactic civilization. First Contact Part 3, Demonstrations of Incomprehensible Power. The second day of First Contact started peacefully enough. Captain Chen and her team attended a breakfast meeting with representatives from 12 different species. The aliens asked questions about human culture and Sarah was happy to answer them. She showed them pictures of Earth cities, explained how democracy worked and shared stories about human art and music. But the peaceful mood changed when General Thakmor of the hegemony of Sarn stood up. The Sarn were the galaxy's most aggressive military species. They looked like 8-foot-tall lizards covered in metal armor. General Thakmor's scales were bright red, which meant he was angry about something. "Captain Chen," the general said in a voice like grinding metal, "your words speak of peace, but your ship speaks of war. The Sarn hegemony demands proof of your peaceful intentions." Sarah looked confused. "What kind of proof would satisfy you, General?" "Submit to standard military inspection protocols. Allow our experts to examine your vessel's capabilities. Prove that you are not a threat to galactic security." Admiral Kexhai tried to interrupt. "General Thakmor, that's not necessary. The humans have been completely cooperative." But the Sarn general ignored him. "If the humans refuse inspection, we must assume they have something to hide. Something dangerous." Sarah looked around the room at all the worried alien faces. She realized that her ship was making everyone nervous and she wanted to help them feel better. "General, I have no problem with an inspection. But I should warn you that demonstrating our ship's full capabilities might cause some minor disruptions to nearby electronics." Dr. Wells leaned over and whispered urgently in Sarah's ear. "Captain, are you sure about this? Our defensive systems alone could—" "It's fine, Amanda," Sarah whispered back. "We'll just show them the basics. Nothing too dramatic." An hour later, the indomitable Will began its demonstration. Captain Chen spoke to her ship through a communication device while hundreds of aliens watched from Harmony's edge. "Engineering. Bring our basic defensive systems online. Minimum power levels only." "Aye, Captain," came the reply. "Activating point defense grid and sensor arrays." The change was immediate and terrifying. Every electronic device within 3 solar systems began experiencing interference. Radio communications turned to static. Computer screens flickered. Navigation systems went crazy as powerful sensor beams swept through space. On Harmony's edge, backup power systems activated as the main computers struggled to cope with the electromagnetic chaos. Emergency lights came on throughout the station. "By the void," whispered Admiral Kexhai as he watched his instruments go insane. "What are they doing?" Through the observation windows, aliens could see the human ship changing. Thousands of small ports opened along its hull. Weapon turrets emerged from hidden compartments. Sensor arrays unfolded like metal flowers. The ship's dark surface began to glow with energy patterns. "Captain Chen," Admiral Kexhai called over the communication system, "your defensive systems are interfering with our station's operations." "Sorry about that, Admiral. We're running at less than 1% power. I can reduce it further if needed." "Less than 1%? The aliens stared at each other in horror. This level of interference was being caused by less than 1% of the human ship's defensive capabilities? General Thakmor was not satisfied. "Show us your weapons, human. Prove that your ship is not a threat." Dr. Wells grabbed Sarah's arm. "Captain, please reconsider. Even our lightest weapons," as Sarah gently pulled her arm free. "It's okay, Amanda. We'll just activate one main battery. Nothing more." She spoke into her communicator again. "Weapons control, bring main battery 7 online. Do not target anything. This is just a demonstration." "Understood, Captain. Activating main battery 7. What happened next made every alien in the system question everything they thought they knew about physics. The indomitable Will began to charge its weapons. Energy readings spiked so high that monitoring equipment simply shut down to protect itself. Space itself seemed to bend around the human ship as massive amounts of power flowed through its systems. Stars visible to the naked eye began to flicker as gravitational waves rippled outward from the charging weapons. On Harmony's edge, sensitive aliens who could feel electromagnetic fields collapsed to the floor in pain. Emergency shields activated throughout the station as radiation levels spiked. Mother of Moons, breathed a Zephyrian scientist as she watched her instruments. The energy buildup is creating micro-singularities in space-time itself. Admiral Kexhai watched his most advanced sensors try to measure the human weapon's power level. After a few seconds, they gave up and simply displayed error messages. The weapon was so far beyond their technology that their computers couldn't even understand what they were looking at. "Captain Chen," the Admiral called desperately, "please stop the demonstration. Our station can't handle the interference." "Of course, Admiral. Weapons control power down main battery 7. Aye, Captain. Powering down." The terrifying light show ended as quickly as it had begun. Space returned to normal. Stars stopped flickering. The station's system slowly came back online. But the psychological damage was done. Every alien in the system had just witnessed a single weapon system generate more power than some stars. They had watched space itself bend under the force of human technology, and the humans had turned it off like it was just a light switch. "That was just one battery?" General Thakmore asked in a voice that was barely a whisper. "Yes," Sarah replied cheerfully. "We have 48 main batteries total, plus all the secondary systems. Though we rarely need to use more than a few at once." The Sarn general, who had never backed down from any fight in his entire life, sat down heavily and didn't say another word. Dr. Wells decided to try to make the situation better, but she only made it worse. "Captain, should I mention that this is just an exploration vessel? Maybe explain about our actual military ships?" Sarah quickly shook her head. "I think they understand our capabilities well enough, Amanda." But it was too late. Admiral Kexhai had heard every word. "Exploration vessel?" he asked weakly. Sarah realized she had to answer honestly. "Yes, Admiral. The Indomitable Will is designed for long-range scientific missions. She's built to be self-sufficient and capable of defending herself against unknown threats. Our actual military vessels are somewhat more powerful." The silence that followed lasted for nearly a minute. Hundreds of aliens stared at the human captain as they tried to process what she had just told them. This reality-destroying superweapon that could crack planets was not even a warship. It was basically a research vessel with some extra guns for protection. The humans' actual military ships were even more powerful. "How much more powerful?" Admiral Kexhai asked, though he wasn't sure he wanted to know the answer. Sarah thought about it for a moment. "Well, our Titan-class battleships are about 50 times larger than the Indomitable Will, and they're specifically designed for combat rather than exploration. So I'd say they're probably 10 or 20 times more powerful overall." The aliens did the math in their heads and felt sick. If the Indomitable Will could destroy their entire fleet without trying hard, what could a human battleship do? Could it destroy planets? Could it make stars explode? "Captain," Admiral Kexhai said very carefully, "exactly how many ships does Earth possess?" Sarah counted in her head. "For deep space exploration, we have 3 ships like this one. For system defense, we have about 20 smaller vessels. And our main battle fleet has, let me think, 7 Titan-class battleships and maybe 30 heavy cruisers." The numbers hit the aliens like a physical blow. Earth possessed enough firepower to conquer the entire galaxy several times over. Every major fleet in galactic space combined couldn't match even a fraction of human naval power. And the humans were just casually exploring the galaxy like tourists, completely unaware of how terrifying they were. Captain Chen noticed that all the aliens looked upset about something. "Is everything okay? Did we do something wrong?" Admiral Kexhai looked at the innocent expression on the human captain's face and realized that she genuinely had no idea what she had just revealed. The humans had enough power to rule the galaxy as gods, and they were worried about being rude to their new neighbors. "No, Captain Chen," he said quietly. "Everything is perfectly fine." But as emergency meetings began throughout the station and across the galaxy, everyone knew that nothing would ever be fine again. First Contact Part 4. The Council's Desperate Calculations. The emergency session of the Galactic Council began at midnight station time. Representatives from 47 species gathered in the most secure conference room on Harmony's Edge. No recordings were allowed. No communication devices were permitted. What they were about to discuss could not leave this room. Admiral Kexhai stood at the head of the table, looking older than he had just 2 days ago. The arrival of the humans had aged him years and hours. "Friends and colleagues," he began, "we face a crisis unlike anything in galactic history. The humans have capabilities that render our entire military structure obsolete. Fleet Admiral Zexhai of the Krithak Empire slammed his metal fist on the table. The Krithak were the galaxy's traditional military powerhouse, with ships and weapons that other species feared. One ship, Admiral. They have shown us one ship. We have thousands. One ship that could destroy your entire fleet without taking damage, replied Dr. Valana of the Zephyrian Science Directorate. My teams have analyzed the energy readings from their weapon demonstration. A single full-power shot from their main battery would crack our strongest battle station like an egg. The room erupted in worried whispers. The Zephyrians were the galaxy's best scientists. If they said the human weapons were that powerful, everyone believed them. Admiral Kexhai raised his hands for silence. Dr. Velana, please share your full analysis with the Council. The blue-skinned scientist stood up and activated a holographic display. Charts and numbers filled the air above the table. Based on the energy readings we detected during their demonstration, the human single-weapon system generated approximately 4.7 terawatts of focused energy. For comparison, our most powerful battleship weapons generate about 50 gigawatts. Several representatives gasped. The human weapon was nearly 100 times more powerful than anything in the galactic fleet. But that's just one battery, Dr. Valana continued. Captain Chen stated they have 48 main batteries on that ship alone. If all of them fired at once, they could generate more energy than our entire star system produces in a day. Fleet Admiral Zexhai looked sick. What about their defenses? Their hull appears to be made of some kind of exotic matter that our sensors can barely penetrate. Based on what little we could scan, I estimate it would take our entire combined fleet firing continuously for several hours to breach their shields. Several hours during which they could destroy us 100 times over. Admiral Kexhai said grimly. Ambassador Thelron of the Peaceful Traders Union spoke up. Perhaps we're overreacting. They seem genuinely friendly. Captain Chen appears to be a reasonable person. Reasonable or not, they have the power to end our civilization, replied General Thakmor of the Sarn hegemony. The proud warrior looked defeated for the first time in his life. My military advisors ran combat simulations all night. In every scenario, the human ship destroys our entire battle group before we can even target it properly. Dr. Valana nodded sadly. And remember, this is their exploration vessel. They mentioned having actual warships that are 20 times more powerful. The room fell silent as everyone did the math. A ship 20 times more powerful than the indomitable Will would be like a god among mortals. It could probably destroy planets with single shots. How many ships do they have? Asked Ambassador Kretak of the Mining Consortium. Admiral Kexhai consulted his notes. According to Captain Chen, they have 3 exploration ships like the indomitable Will, 20 system defense vessels, 7 battleships, and 30 heavy cruisers. The silence stretched longer this time, 60 ships with technology centuries beyond anything the galaxy possessed. Even if the galaxy's 47 species combined all their fleets into one massive armada, they couldn't fight even a small portion of the human navy. What do they want? Whispered Ambassador Thelron. That's what worries me, Admiral Kexhai replied. They claim they want friendship and cooperation. They're acting like tourists visiting a new planet. But beings with that much power don't need to ask for anything. They can simply take whatever they want. Fleet Admiral Zexhai stood up angrily. Are we really going to sit here and surrender to 3 aliens in one ship? The Krithak Empire has never bowed to anyone. Admiral, Dr. Velana said gently. Your empire's entire fleet couldn't scratch the paint on their hull. This isn't about courage or honor. This is about mathematics and physics. They have technologies we don't understand using power sources we can't imagine. The Krithak Admiral sat back down looking crushed. His species had built their entire culture around military strength. What did you do when someone showed up with infinitely superior strength? There's something else, Admiral Kexhai said reluctantly. Our intelligence teams have been analyzing everything the humans have said and done. They appear to have developed all of this technology independently, without any outside help. What does that mean? Asked Ambassador Kretak. It means they're not using ancient artifacts or stolen technology. They figured out how to build these things with their own science and engineering. A species that can develop technology this advanced on their own is fundamentally different from anything we've encountered. Dr. Valana activated another holographic display. I've been studying human behavior since they arrived. They show genuine curiosity about our cultures. They ask intelligent questions about our science and technology. but they also show no fear whatsoever of anything we might do to them. Because they don't need to fear us, General Thakmor said bitterly. We're insects to them. No, Dr. Velana shook her head. I don't think they see us as insects. I think they see us as children, perhaps. They're being very careful not to frighten us or hurt our feelings. Captain Chen seems genuinely concerned about making a good impression. Ambassador Thelran leaned forward. Could that work in our favor? If they see us as children, they might want to protect us rather than conquer us. Or they might decide we're too primitive to bother with, replied General Thakmor. Would you form an alliance with a species that was still hitting rocks with sticks? Admiral Kexhai looked around the table at all the worried faces. We need to make a decision. How do we respond to the humans? We could try to form defensive alliances, suggested Fleet Admiral Zexhai. If all 47 species work together, we'd still lose, Dr. Velana interrupted. I've run the numbers. Our combined military forces would be no match for even their smallest warship. We could try to escape, whispered Ambassador Kretak. Evacuate our core worlds, hide in the outer regions of the galaxy. Where exactly would we hide from beings who can travel faster than light and see across solar systems? Admiral Kexhai asked. The room fell into another long silence. Every military option led to defeat. Every defensive strategy was useless. Every escape plan was impossible. What about diplomacy? Ambassador Thelran asked finally. We could offer them tribute. Give them whatever they want in exchange for leaving us alone. What could we possibly offer them? General Thakmor laughed bitterly. Our most advanced technology is like stone tools compared to theirs. Our greatest treasures are worthless to beings who can reshape matter at will. Dr. Velana spoke up quietly. There is one thing we have that they might want. Everyone turned to look at her. Knowledge. Cultural knowledge. They seem genuinely interested in learning about our different species and civilizations. Maybe that's valuable to them. Admiral Kexhai nodded slowly. It's possible. They did seem excited about our art and music. Captain Chen asked a lot of questions about our histories. So we become their museum exhibits? Fleet Admiral Zexhai sounded disgusted. If that keeps us alive, yes, Admiral Kexhai replied firmly. Pride is a luxury we can no longer afford. As the meeting continued through the night, reports came in from across the galaxy. The Sarn hegemony was quietly moving their battle fleets to defensive positions around their homeworlds. The Krethak Empire had canceled all offensive operations and recalled their ships. Dozens of smaller species were already preparing diplomatic gifts to offer the humans. The careful balance of power that had maintained galactic peace for thousands of years was crumbling in a matter of days. Everyone was preparing for a new reality, where humans held absolute power over life and death. But the strangest part was that the humans seemed completely unaware of the panic they had caused. Captain Chen had spent the evening attending a cultural exchange dinner, cheerfully trying alien foods and asking about local music traditions. She had thanked Admiral Kexhai for the warm welcome and said she was looking forward to many more days of peaceful exchange. As dawn broke over Harmony's Edge, the Galactic Council faced an unprecedented truth. They were no longer the masters of their own destiny. Their entire civilization now existed at the mercy of 3 humans in a single ship, and those humans seemed to think they were just making new friends. First Contact Part 5. An unexpected resolution on the 3rd morning of First Contact. Admiral Kexhai stood outside the human quarters on Harmony's Edge, trying to gather courage for the most important conversation of his life. Behind him waited representatives from every major species in the galaxy. They had spent all night debating exactly what to say to the humans. The door opened before he could knock. Captain Chen smiled warmly at the group of nervous aliens crowding the hallway. Good morning, Admiral. This is a pleasant surprise. Would you all like to come in for breakfast? We were just trying some of those wonderful Zephyrian fruit pastries. The captain's cheerful manner made what they were about to do even harder. How do you tell someone that their mere presence has terrified an entire galaxy? Captain Chen, Admiral Kexhai said formally, the Galactic Council requests an urgent private meeting with you and your team. Sarah's smile faded slightly. Of course. Is there a problem? Have we done something to offend someone? Please just come with us. An hour later, Captain Chen sat at the head of the Council's main conference table, surrounded by representatives from 47 different species. The mood in the room was tense and frightened. Dr. Wells and Commander Jackson flanked her, both looking confused by the sudden formality. Admiral HFY stood at the opposite end of the table, his four hands clasped nervously behind his back. Captain Chen, what I'm about to say may sound strange, but I need you to understand that it comes from a place of desperate honesty. Sarah leaned forward, concerned. Admiral, you're making me worried. What's wrong? Captain, your arrival has terrified our entire civilization. The three humans exchanged glances. Sarah blinked in confusion. I'm sorry, what? Your ship, your technology, your capabilities, they're so far beyond anything we possess that we can't even comprehend them properly. We've realized that you could destroy our entire galactic civilization without even trying hard. Dr. Wells laughed nervously. Admiral, I think there's been some kind of misunderstanding. No misunderstanding, Doctor. We've run every analysis, every simulation, every calculation we can think of. Your single ship could defeat our combined fleets. Your technology is centuries beyond ours. Your casual gifts to us represent scientific breakthroughs that would take us generations to achieve on our own. Sarah stood up slowly, looking around at all the frightened alien faces. Admiral, I think you're overestimating our capabilities. Are we? General Thakmore spoke up from across the table. You demonstrated one weapon system that generated more power than our entire star system produces. You mentioned having 47 more just like it. You told us this isn't even a warship, that your actual military vessels are 20 times more powerful. And you said Earth has 60 ships total, added Fleet Admiral HFY. Even your smallest vessels could probably destroy our largest battle stations. Captain Chen sat back down heavily. Oh no. Oh, I see what's happened here. Dr. Wells put her hand on Sarah's shoulder. Captain, maybe we should explain about the actual situation back home. Yes, Sarah said slowly. I think we should. She looked around the room at all the worried faces staring at her. Admiral, I need to ask you something first. How many ships does the Galactic Council possess? Admiral HFY consulted his notes. In total? Approximately 40,000 vessels of various classes, from small patrol boats to large battleships. Sarah's eyes widened. 40,000 ships? That's just the Council fleet. Individual species have their own navies as well. Altogether, the galaxy probably has over 100,000 military vessels. Dr. Wells gasped. 100,000? Holy hell. Commander Jackson whistled quietly. Captain, maybe we should explain about Earth's actual situation. Sarah nodded and stood up again. Admiral, I think there's been a huge misunderstanding. When I said Earth has 60 ships, I meant that's our entire space fleet. Every single spacecraft we've ever built that can leave our solar system. The aliens stared at her in confusion. I don't understand. Admiral HFY said. Earth is one planet, Admiral. One world with about 8 billion people on it. We've never conquered other worlds or built a galactic empire. Until this week, we didn't even know anyone else existed. The silence in the room was complete. Dr. Wells continued the explanation. The 3 exploration ships, like the Indomitable Will, represent almost our entire deep space capability. We built them big and powerful because we were terrified of what we might find out here. We thought space might be full of hostile aliens with superior technology. So you built ships that could defend themselves against anything, Admiral HFY said slowly. Exactly. We figured it was better to be overprepared than underprepared. But your battleships, General Thakmore started. We have 7 ships we call battleships, Sarah interrupted. They're designed to defend Earth if someone attacks our solar system. We built them after too many science fiction movies about alien invasions. Commander Jackson smiled grimly. Turns out we built them to fight enemies that were much more powerful than anything that actually exists. The aliens looked at each other in shock. The humans weren't a vast galactic empire with unlimited resources. They were a tiny species from one world who had accidentally built ships powerful enough to conquer the galaxy. So you're not planning to conquer us? Ambassador Thelron asked hopefully. Sarah laughed out loud. Conquer you? Admiral, we have 8 billion people total. You represent 47 different species across thousands of worlds. Even if we wanted to conquer the galaxy, which we absolutely don't, we wouldn't have enough people to run it. But your technology, Dr. Villana protested, is designed for exploration and self-defense, Dr. Wells explained. We're scientists and explorers, not conquerors. We came here hoping to learn from more advanced civilizations, not to take over anything. Admiral HFY sat down slowly as he processed this information. You're saying that Earth is actually a small, peaceful planet that accidentally built the most powerful ships in galactic history? That's exactly what I'm saying, Sarah confirmed. We were so scared of meeting hostile aliens that we over-engineered our ships to handle impossible threats. It never occurred to us that we might be the scary ones. The mood in the room began to change as the aliens realized the truth. The humans weren't godlike conquerors looking for new territories to dominate. They were a small, frightened species who had built incredibly powerful ships because they were terrified of the unknown. This creates an interesting situation, Admiral HFY said thoughtfully. How so? Sarah asked. Well, Captain, whether you intended it or not, you now possess the most powerful fleet in the galaxy, and based on everything we've learned about humans over the past 3 days, you're also the most peaceful and ethical species we've encountered. Dr. Wells looked confused. What are you getting at, Admiral? The galaxy has never had a true peacekeeping force. Every species looks out for their own interests first. Wars start over resource disputes or territorial claims, but you don't need our resources and you don't want our territory. Fleet Admiral HFY nodded slowly, a species with the power to stop any conflict but no desire to start one. Are you asking us to become some kind of galactic police force? Sarah asked suspiciously. Not police, Admiral HFY said carefully. Protectors, peacekeepers, the honest arbiters that every dispute resolution system needs but never gets. Sarah looked at her team. Dr. Wells shrugged. Commander Jackson looked thoughtful. What would that involve? Sarah asked. Preventing wars before they start, stopping genocides, protecting smaller species from being conquered by larger ones, being the force that everyone knows exists but hopes they never have to face. General Thakmore spoke up reluctantly. The Sarn hegemony has been planning to invade the Christek Republic for 50 years. But if we knew humans would intervene, you'd find a peaceful solution instead, Admiral HFY finished. Sarah was quiet for a long moment. We never wanted this kind of responsibility. The best leaders rarely do, Ambassador Thelran said softly. Dr. Wells leaned over to whisper in Sarah's ear. Captain, think about it. We built these ships to protect Earth. If we're protecting the whole galaxy, Earth is automatically safe too. Commander Jackson nodded, and we'd be doing exactly what Starfleet always did in those old TV shows, exploring space and keeping the peace. Sarah looked around the room at all the hopeful alien faces watching her. These beings weren't enemies to be defeated. They were potential friends who needed protection from each other and from whatever threats might come from the dark spaces between stars. I can't make this decision for Earth, she said finally. I'll need to discuss it with our government. Of course, Admiral HFY agreed quickly. Take all the time you need. But speaking personally, Sarah continued, I think most humans would be honored to help keep peace in the galaxy. It's what we've always dreamed of doing. 6 months later, the Terran Peacekeeping Treaty was signed on Earth. 47 species pledged mutual cooperation and support. In exchange, humanity agreed to prevent wars and protect smaller species from aggression. The first human ambassador to the Galactic Council was Captain Sarah Chen. Her first official act was to establish a joint research program to share human technology with the galaxy, but only for peaceful purposes.